met a guy, I was flying back, in fact, I was flying from France back to London, and he's an airport ergonomic retail designer. So I was like, what is that? He said, Andrew, airports are not airports anymore. They are now shopping centers. Okay? When you land in Amsterdam, you have to walk through the shops before you get to customs. And when I say walk through shops, it's like through shops and coffee shops, and I mean, you're literally walking through a full-on shopping center inside an airport. Now, why would they do that? Right? This is Heathrow, just to give you an example. This is intentional congruence, and there's a big message here, so just indulge me for a second. Okay, so if you think that passenger numbers arriving and leaving in London every single day is 201,000 passengers. Now, if you were a retailer and you had 201,000 people walking through your shop, would that be a good amount of clients? Yes or no? Yeah. Number of passengers per year, 73.4 million people go through that airport every year. That was in 2014, so last year. The busiest day ever recorded, 241,000. The busiest year ever recorded, which was last year, 73.4 million people. So now, when you go to a shop, to an airport, it becomes a meeting place. It becomes a place to shop. It's more an experience than anything else. Now, remember the old days you used to go to the airport and you couldn't even get a decent sandwich? Remember those days? You arrive in an airport, you sit there, you're starving, you're thirsty. I mean, there's no place to sit. It's horrible seats. It's noisy, it's messy. It's not like that anymore because they've now realized we've got a captive audience. Why don't we sell to this captive audience? You see, it's all about numbers. It's all about width. When you build a business, you want to have width in a business. In other words, not one business. You want to have lots of businesses. Now, how many of you travel overseas? Raise your hands. Okay. Now, when you when they ask you for your boarding pass, why do you think they do that? When you buy something at duty free or something like that, why do you think they do that? Yeah. Do you know that you fly, say, Virgin Active, and you go toot with your little boarding pass? Richard Branson's company gets paid a commission because he's the person responsible for getting you into that airport. So he gets paid a commission. So now if you're in the airline business, guess what? You're also in the retail business by default. Just by virtue of the fact that you put passengers in that airport or through the airport, you get paid another level. And they do it with car rental, with everything. If you book your car through, Kalula.com on their site, book the car, they get commission. It's all money boiling into one pot. Now, when you make money, you can either do it in one company or you can do it with a lot of companies. Which one do you think is better? A lot of companies, because A, you spread your risk, and B, your income comes in on multiple levels. So if one company is affected this month, the other company might not be affected, and guess what? You make the same amount of money. You even your revenue stream out. That's what intentional congruence really is. Here's some other numbers. Just percentage of passengers, 93% of passengers are international passengers. Now you're selling to an international market. What happens if you wanted to build your business internationally? All you do is get your product into an airport. People see it and bang, your business goes international, right? Local is only 5.3 million business travelers. Look at the ratio. Yeah, 30% of business travelers. It's interesting. Now this is just Heathrow. Obviously they know the numbers. They've got the Heathrow Rewards account. And these are just people that have registered on that where they get the numbers from. It's crazy, okay? And then, of course, leisure, you can see, is the balance. 70% of people are traveling on holiday or to visit family or something else. So if you were going to start a business, wouldn't you want to get into a business where you can have multiple streams of income? Because in an airport, for instance, restaurants, bars, shopping centers. I mean, in the old days, duty-free was most of your shopping. Now it only constitutes 5% of the shopping in an airport, right? Medical, there's pharmacies in there. You can go and have a massage if you want. My clicker's not working. You can buy airtime. Travelers arrive, they want to get a phone whilst they're over here, they can get that. You've got airplane tickets they can purchase. That's all in an airport, just one airport. Car rental, insurance. Are you starting to get the idea here? It's not an accident. Now, how many of you have heard of a company called AXA? Okay, those are the guys that give you open wallet surgery when you park your car at the airport. Those are the guys that lose your bag. Those are the guys that run the airports. It's Airports Company South Africa. Now, have a look at the numbers over there. A company bought out 20%. An Italian company bought out 20% for 819 million rand. 819 million rand. So in effect, an airport is worth about between 4.5 and 5 billion rand. Now imagine if you could have bought shares in AXA in the early days when AXA were just AC, before they became AXA, right? You want to understand that in a portfolio or a shareholdership, there's two benefits to being a shareholder, right? A shareholder gets their asset grows, your asset base grows because you buy something, and then the shareholder value grows, and then your income grows accordingly, and then you also get a dividend. With all quotes and buy direct, as I understand it, you purchase a license and you get paid money based on the performance of the organization. And that's great. The challenge with it is it cannot keep growing infinitum. It's not possible. Because of what? Any normal corporate structure, and I'll talk about this a little bit later as well, any corporate structure, you have your cash output in the beginning, and then you need to invest in asset, which means money has to go back into the company to make sure it doesn't disappear, so that your investment is safe. Okay? So let's look at a company we all know called Apple. How many of you have heard of Apple? How many of you have at least one Apple device? Raise your hands. Okay, most people. What do the rest of you do if you don't have an Apple? How many of you have a BlackBerry? Who's got a BlackBerry? Oh my word. Can we just have a moment's silence for those BlackBerry users? Okay, what happened to BlackBerry? They didn't change fast enough. They were arrogant. They dominated a massive market segment. They didn't think. They didn't change. They were stuck and stayed. And guess what happened? When the market changed and new technology came in, they sat on their fingers and they did nothing. And the rest of the market and the rest of the companies just wiped them out. Nowadays, I mean, who buys a BlackBerry? I don't even know a single person, apart from the lady at the back who raised his hand, owns a BlackBerry. Okay? If you don't change, if you don't make decisions in an economy that changes all the time, you can be left behind. Right? So just look at Apple, and we talk about intentional congruence. There's the old Apple Mac. How many of you incidentally owned one of those? Apple I, Apple II. Yeah. Now that was the old Apple, right? Then they brought out, and obviously over a period of time, they brought out the iPod, which in its time was absolutely revolutionary because now you didn't need to have 3,000 CDs in your house. You had that little device, 160 megabyte device, or it was a megabyte, yeah, megs, or gigs, or whatever. Nowadays it's gigs, and you could put all your songs on one device. Now that was just one device. So you got a computer company who's now making music product. Then what they did very smartly is brought out the iPad. Now the technology with the iPad was amazing because it was the first device that you could use a screen and play on the screen and get it to work without using a keypad. How many of you own an iPad? Or a normal pad? Why are you laughing? Okay. Then they brought out the iPhone, a natural extension. Do you know that nowadays 32% of all business 32% of all business purchases and so forth in the United States happens on their phone. 32% of all purchases happens on their phone. It's amazing, isn't it? So some people say, I want to get into the cell phone business. But where do you start? How do you get into a business? Do you go and create an app? I just met up with a guy about a week and a half ago. Their company spent 1.9 million rand developing an app, which didn't work. Then they brought in a new company that developed another one for them, which also doesn't work. And then when they gave them the numbers, they said, do you realize that 97% of all our traffic happens on our website? 1% of our traffic happens on the app. They then realized the website is more important than the app. So in some cases, an app is a good thing. In some cases, it isn't. But what the iPhone did was it started to connect us in a different way. Okay? So the natural progression is, even if you didn't own an Apple product, you'd buy an iPod, but then you needed a certain software to run it. Do you know what that software is? It's called iTunes. Now you load your Apple product on a normal computer, a standard desktop type computer, right? So Apple is in your sphere. They've got in. That was their footprint into your life, because now you have to use iTunes. So then you buy an iMac, right? Or you go onto the App Store, right? This clip came 1.5 months into 2015. 10 billion times. 10 billion times in 90 days. 10 billion in 90 days. Now, what does that tell you? How many of you would love to have 10 billion customers approaching you in every 90-day cycle? It's no wonder why Apple is well, I think it is now the richest company in the world, isn't it? I think they surpassed Google and the other guys, okay? How about this for a cool thing? How many of you know what Shazam is? Okay, easier question. How many of you do not know what Shazam is? Raise your hands. Wow. Okay, so let me teach you. I'm going to change your life today. So you're driving in your car and you hear a nice song and you want to buy that song. How do you buy it? You go into Musica or Look and Listen. You go to the guy at the counter and you say, I just heard a lekker song and I want to buy it. And he says, what's the name of the song? You say, I don't know, but it sounds like this. That's how you are probably buying your music. Okay? It's very sad, I have to tell you, it's very sad. Now, if you are enlightened, this is what you do. You go onto your phone and you download that app called Shazam. When the song is playing, you click on the app and it goes and finds the song for you, right? It then redirects you to iTunes where you can then go and buy the song and it'll cost you R7.99 to buy that song. Now, most people, they'll go to the CD shop. They'll buy the CD for 150 bucks or 160 rand. So effectively, you just wanted the one song, but now you have to pay 160 rand. It's not fair, right? So you click on Shazam, it sends you to iTunes. You buy the song for R7.99. You download it to your phone. When you get home, your Wi-Fi connects you to your laptop. So it then transfers it to your laptop and your iPad. So it does everything for you. It's clever, isn't it? What isn't clever is my wife buys on her phone and all her music ends up on my phone. That's not always fun because she's Afrikaans and I'm English, so I have to listen to, you know, those guys. Baby chocolates, baby chocolates. So, but the point is that she bought it for R7.99 and the entire family shares in it. You can buy books, you can buy everything, and Shazam is just one fantastic tool. Now, some people say, yeah, I don't think it's really that great. Let me tell you why Shazam is great. There's just an example of what it looks like. You click on the phone, that's what it looks like. You click on it, it listens to the song, and then it finds the album for you. How brilliant is that? Okay? Now watch this. 2.9 million songs per hour is what is downloaded on iTunes at the moment. At 50 US cents profit to Apple. Because the song costs about $1. You pay R7.99 or R8.99, and Apple keeps half, and the artists and whoever else contracts, they get a share. So how brilliant is that? So Apple, a little computer company, now has a music company, and 2.9 million songs per hour. So divide that in half, it's about $1.5 million an hour in profit. Pure profit, because no one needs to do anything. The only work that gets done is to load it into iTunes. Brilliant, right? Now, here's the crazy part. Shazam, that company, the company that was up there, Shazam was developed by two 17-year-old college kids in America. They launched the product. They were turned down by pretty much everybody, and Apple said, we like that. So Apple bought them. So two little college, almost dropouts, got paid $77 million each for Shazam. And they still own shares and everything. And guess what happened? They didn't sell the entire company. They sold a portion of the company. And because Apple is the bigger company, when you're a small company and you become part of a massive company, guess what happens? The massive company drags you along because they've got that momentum. They've got the clients. They've got the referral base. And that's where you'd like to be, right?